They say it's the hardest trophy to win in sports.
Lifelong dream.
But the only thing more difficult than winning the Stanley Cup is doing it again.
Another audacious prediction, set unrealistic expectations and exceed them.
The Golden Knights' quest for the Cup is underway.
Go, Knights, go!
And once again, Ben Sapienza is on the road with the team.
I mean, it's the best part of life.
Bringing you all the sights, sounds, and stories from the locker room to the ice.
I'm comfortable playing them against anybody.
And for the first time, their fellow Knights in Henderson and Tahoe join them in their chase for a championship.
It's going to go to a whole nother level here.
The Fox 5 and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network on the road with the Knights all postseason long.
Vegas wanted hockey, Vegas got hockey.
This is Hockey in the Desert Weekly.
Welcome inside a postseason edition of Hockey in the Desert Weekly. I am your host once again, Vince Sapienza. Let's fire home a snapshot of what we got in store over the next 30 minutes. We're going to get you ready for the Silver Knights postseason run to a Calder Cup, as well as the Night Monsters' quest for the Kelly Cup. Plus, I go one-on-one with original misfit Nate Schmidt as he looks back on his time in Vegas and talks about his new role with the Utah Mammoth. But before we get there, we have to start with the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, they say a playoff series doesn't start until the road team wins a game. We'll consider that box checked. The Golden Knights showed off their experience and physicality in Game 1. The Mammoth displayed their youth and speed in Game 2, picking up the franchise's first postseason win while in Utah, earning the split as the series now shifts to Salt Lake City. But let's go back to Game 1. The Stanley Cup playoffs returning to Las Vegas, and while WrestleMania was taking place over at Allegiant Stadium, there was some real fighting going on across the freeway. Neither team passing up the opportunity to throw the body. There were combined 82 hits in this one, 52 of which came from the Golden Knights, who clearly wanted to use their size to set the tone for the series. Cole Smith, Keegan Kolesar, and Ivan Barbashev combining for 21 of those hits alone. The message sending continued beyond the whistles.
We can play that heavy style of game, and that's something we kind of want to focus on, using our size and using that to our advantage. And we had a lot of hits tonight, and I think through our series, it's going to lead to more.
Like, it's hard to play like that for 82 games, and when playoffs comes, I think it matters, and I think it matters for our group too.
I mean, it's playoff hockey. There's going to be scrums, quite a bit of it, and we always got each other's back. I think especially going through playoffs, there's going to be times where we have to have each other's back, either in a scrum or in games when a guy makes a mistake. We got a second player to back him up, and so it's great. It's our identity, and we're going to have each other's back the whole way through.
So down 1-0 after the first, Cole Smith did have his team's back with a behind-the-back pass to Colton Sissons, crashing the crease, putting home his 11th career playoff goal. Now, while that got the crowd on their feet for the first time, the delight quickly turned into disbelief just a couple minutes later. Hart leaving his cage to play the puck, but his pass gets intercepted by Kevin Stenlund, who fires it toward the net. His shot goes off the stick of Caden Korzak and finds the back of the net. Utah took a 2-1 lead after 2. So we jump to the final frame less than 6 minutes in. Vegas making the most of their first and only power play of the game. Mark Stone, right place, right time, picks up the rebound, ties the game at 2. A giant high five to the boards, injecting life back into the building, ties the game at 2. And then just 2 shifts later, it's the VGK fourth line coming through once again.
Sissons on the backhand, beats Hannafin, got it towards the net, score!
Now, Dowd about it. Nick Dowd, another trade deadline acquisition coming through in the biggest game of the season. His 5th career playoff goal gives Vegas its first lead of the game. That would prove to be your winner. Ivan Barbashev, who dished out 8 hits, drew the penalty that led to the Vegas power play goal, gets rewarded with his work with the empty netter. Vegas taking game 1 4-2. Now, in addition to Dowd providing the game-winning goal on Sunday, he also provided the first viral moment of the series. In the final seconds of the game, he and Logan Cooley got into it at center ice. That drew some blood from the 11-year vet. And as the final horn sounded, cameras caught Dowd mouthing, "Hey, Cooley, I'm coming for you," among some other things. Dowd was asked about the exchange post-game.
It's going to be a grind of a series. I think it's, again, it's an emotional game. So, I thought, they played well tonight. I thought, they made they put us in tough spots at times. And, I think pushback is good.
All right, so with the tone being set, we head back to the Fortress for Game 2. Carter Hart back in net and making some big saves early, specifically on the PK. A perfect 12 for 12 while shorthanded. Meanwhile, on the other end, Vegas take advantage on the man advantage. Eichel sends it down to Stone. He bull rushes his way toward the net, and the puck finds its way in. Back-to-back games with a power play goal for the captain. He gives Vegas a 1-0 lead. Later, though, Lady Luck not bouncing Vegas' way. Mackenzie Weegar rips one from the blue line. Hart makes the initial save, but the rebound goes off the skate of Rasmus Anderson and into the back of the net. It's 1-1 after one. Now, Nick Dowd did have another run-in with Cooley here in Game 2, and unfortunately gets called for a trip. Utah head back to the power play because of it, and it's a perfect example of why the Stanley Cup playoffs are so hard. Noah Hannafin blocks a shot on the PK, heads down the tunnel, but would later return. Very next shift, Jeremy Lazan blocks another shot. He can barely move. They both would end up finishing the game. But fast forward under 5 to play in the middle stanza, Mammoth in the offensive zone, and what looks like a harmless buildup ends with the puck in the net. Dylan Gunther unloading the slap shot from beyond the faceoff circle. Perfect placement gives Utah their first lead of the game. However, it would last just 62 seconds because of a certain Mammoth menace.
Picked off by Barbashev and to wait for his line mates to get onside. Barbashev cutting it down low, backhand, and he scores!
Ivan Barbashev with an out-of-this-world individual effort and finish. Taking a look as he levels the game at 2 with a backhand beauty. Second goal of the postseason, 2-2 after 2.
Yeah, it's huge. Barb's been playing some great hockey for a long time, so yeah, he's always been a guy that just keeps ramping his game up throughout the year and keeps bringing the pressure and brings a lot of energy. So yeah, it was a massive goal for us there in the end of the second, and he's been making some big plays for us.
Yeah, he's played well. He's played well. He's a good 200-foot player. Certainly a good, honest, physical player. Has given us some good minutes.
Third period now, about 6 minutes to go in regulation. Gunther turns on the Jets, gets around Shea Theodore. Hart makes the first save again, but Cooley, here's that Cooley, beats everyone to the rebound. Utah regain the lead. The Golden Knights would have a chance late to tie the game, but Karel Vizmelka, well, he's there to put an end to that. The Mammoths steal Game 2 on the road, 3-2, your final.
I thought we played our game for the most part in the first half of the game, and then kind of got away from it. So group here and get ready to get back to our game. I mean, they obviously had a push, which we know. I mean, they're a good team, and we knew this wasn't going to be easy. But trying to continue our some more play in the offensive zone, hanging on to pucks. Yeah, try to regroup here, and like I said, and be ready to go.
I thought our first period was one of our better first periods in a while. One of our better ones since I've been here. Just lost any type of flow in the second period, the way everything was going on. Thought we had a good start to the third period and had some opportunities. We couldn't score. They find a way with some of their speed. Yeah, we've got a couple of things that we need to fix. I'm not going to discuss it here, but that's why it's a series. We're just going to keep on working at our game. I thought we were going to take off after the first period. I really liked what we looked like there, and we just got all disjointed. I was trying to get the bench with some flow, couldn't find that. Yeah, so we'll have tomorrow off. We'll practice on Thursday and get on the road.
All right, speaking of the schedule, here's a look at what's up next. The series shifts to Salt Lake City, and Hockey in the Desert is heading on the road. Game 3 Friday, which will mark the first Stanley Cup playoff game in Utah history. Game 4 Monday, Game 5 back at the Fortress Wednesday, and if necessary, Game 6 back in Utah Friday, Game 7 right here at T-Mobile Arena on that following Sunday. Despite all the ice, we're just getting warmed up here on Hockey in the Desert Weekly. When we return, I catch up with a familiar face, an original misfit, now sitting on the visiting bench. The great 88, Nate Schmidt, talks about facing the Golden Knights in round 1, reflecting on his time in Vegas and the similarities that the Mammoths share with his team that he was part of nearly a decade ago.
You're watching Hockey in the Desert Weekly.
Immortality. That's what we're looking for here, Vegas. That's the word that we want to etch into the history of this game together. This city, this team, gain immortality. The blood, the sweat, the tears, everything that goes on through the year, tossed out the window. Having you guys with us every step of the way, the same blood, the same sweat, same tears, goes into T-Mobile Arena, 18,000 people, screaming, yelling, feeling the pulse of a city all in one building. Because immortality, that's worth fighting for.
7 years ago, Nate Schmidt was gracious enough with his time to help us get you ready for another run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, if I could pull back the curtain just for a minute, when we asked him to do this, he was all in. He was great, obviously. He didn't want or need a script. Everything he said was his own words and from his own heart. Nearly a decade later, he's back in Vegas, skating in his 100th playoff game, I might add, and looking to go on another run, though this time at the expense of the guys in gold. I caught up with the great 88 to talk about his time here and his journey that led him to Utah.
Carlson in the middle.
This city, all of us together, let's go Knights, let's go, we're fired up. Woo!
Nate, 9 years ago, you were part of something.
9?
Have you had a moment to reflect on that, being back in this building for what is the start of another run?
Yeah, another first-time run. You know, I try and remember how just giddy we were the whole time, right? Hope you're having fun. Enjoy it. We are. Just how fun it was just to be in that situation where it was first time. We didn't really have a lot of expectations for each other. So yeah, I had a blast thinking about it. I had a blast looking at, when you walk in, it just kind of reminds you of some good memories. All the way up till, unfortunately we have a coach on our staff from Washington, and but it feels a little bit easier now that I got mine. I got mine last year.
Again, a unique thing there, a unique thing here, part of a first playoff run in Utah. Comparisons, how different?
I mean, some similarities, but there's nothing like, being an expansion team, all the things that the team went through that year with the city. I think that's a little bit, has its own story to it, right? Its own feeling towards it. So I think that, especially with they've never been in a club here before, so there's that, but there's a lot of fun parts of seeing a new team kind of thrive and a new organization be what it is now in Utah, and seeing, my first year being able to get to the playoffs is what you play for. It's what I play for. I mean, it's the most fun. This is why we play. This is why I play.
Nate Schmidt, first-time Stanley Cup champion.
And why you play is also to win it all. You got to experience that.
Yeah.
I guess, how do you use that now and move it forward with this group?
I think one of the biggest things last year is how calm, that team was in Florida after winning the year before, when they got into the playoffs, and how they really relished into that slowing the game, slowing the days down, and just, we lost game, didn't matter, won a game, didn't matter. I mean, I found myself earlier in my career kind of trying to, tic-tac-toe the way you can do it all the way to the end, right? And it's just, I really enjoyed how well they were able to do that last year, and I think that's my biggest thing that I've learned. These series are going to go fast. Find a way to slow them down and enjoy it, not just be swallowed up by the pressure.
Stone sets up Marner on the doorstep.
I know you've been on different teams and gone back to places you played for before, but obviously you hold a special place in the fans' heart. I know you've been back here before, but is it different at all for you being in the postseason?
Yeah, it's nothing to love for Vegas, right? But, when it comes down to it, this is a time for our team. We're a young group. We're emerging out of the scene. I like to put myself in that same young group category.
I didn't mean the 9 years thing, just a couple years ago.
Of course. But yeah, that's it's fun for me to be a part of, and I've really enjoyed kind of watching a lot of these guys mature and blossom into the team that we are to be able to be here. And yeah, it's a different role for me, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Good stuff there from Nate. Earlier this week, prior to the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NHLPA dropped their annual players poll. Now, there was plenty of VGK representation on it, but one of the more notable votes involved the best visiting dressing room, and the Utah Mammoth came in third place. Good news for the VGK as the series now, again, shifts to Salt Lake City. As for the Golden Knights, Vegas's ice at T-Mobile Arena was voted the 5th best in the National Hockey League behind Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and the state of hockey, Minnesota. Out of the 348 players polled across the league, the Fortress received 3.4% of those votes. A couple other notable votes involving the guys in goal for the question, which forward could also excel as a defenseman? Mitch Marner earned 10.4% of the votes, the second most votes, behind only Florida Panthers centerman Alexander Barkov. And the question, which player would make a great coach when they retire? Golden Knights captain Mark Stone earning 2.1% of the votes. That was tied for 5th behind Sid the Kid Crosby, Nick Foligno, original misfit David Perron, and John Tavares. Still ahead here on Hockey in the Desert Weekly, time to turn our attention to the other playoff teams in the postseason. We'll head to Henderson for the Calder Cup playoffs and then take a trip to Tahoe as the Night Monsters ready for another run in the Kelly Cup playoffs. The Silver Knights completed the most successful regular season in franchise history. 39 wins, 90 points. The biggest reason why? Their post-All-Star break record of 21-4-4, lifting them to the 3rd seed in the Pacific Division. Now they'll face the 6-seeded San Jose Barracuda in the opening round of the Calder Cup playoffs. In the 4 regular season matchups, HSK beat the Barracuda 3 times, scoring 21 goals total in that series. Henderson head coach Ryan Craig says the work started as soon as the regular season ended in Tucson, and while all eyes are on the task at hand, he took a moment to reflect on what was a historic season for the franchise.
We're excited about what's in front of us. Very, very proud of our guys for the push we've made to put ourselves in a position. We'll get ready for Game 1. I think as we've grown, from Game 1 to 72, we've grown as a group. We've grown to understand what makes us successful. We've grown to learn the roles that are needed and the buy-in that it takes to be successful. It's going to go to a whole nother level here starting on Wednesday. But I think just the way we've grown and continue to push throughout the year, credit to our guys.
Now, while it was the most successful season in team history, we also witnessed the greatest goal-scoring season in Silver Knights history. Raphael Lavoie became the first HSK player to hit the 30-goal milestone in a season. He found the back of the net 21 times in the final 24 games of the regular season, finished tied for 6th in the league.
Well, you can see he has the spots he gets to. When he gets there, usually the puck ends up in the net. I thought he's been pushing to get to 30. It means something to him. It means something to our organization. Very happy for him to do that. But you can see he's a shooter. And when he's on and direct, he puts himself in those areas.
So here's a look at the Silver Knights playoff schedule. The first round is a best of 3 with San Jose. All 3 games at Lee's Family Forum. Game 1 Wednesday, Game 2 on Friday, and if necessary, Game 3 on Sunday. Now, it may be the postseason, but it's also award season. A trio of Silver Knights were named AHL second-team All-Stars. Tanner Lazinski, Lucas Cormier, and goaltender Carl Lindbaum were selected after a league-wide vote amongst AHL players, coaches, and media. The 3 become the first Silver Knights to be named to the end-of-year All-Star team since HSK's inaugural season, with Logan Thompson and Ryan Murphy named to the Pacific Divisional All-Star team. Carl Lindbaum, among those 3, finished tied for 5th with 24 wins, 2nd in the league with a 2.16 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. Since the All-Star break in February, the 22-year-old posted a record of, listen to this, 18-0-2. The Golden Knights' former 7th-round pick set a single-season franchise record for wins and is now the Silver Knights' all-time wins leader. And it was a big season for Mitch McLean. The Silver Knights assistant captain set career marks in goals, assists, and points, and that has turned into a new contract extension for the 32-year-old. McLean is in the midst of his 2nd season with HSK and the 8th of his pro career. He appeared in 71 of the 72 games and finished tied for 2nd on the team with 22 goals. He also is the Silver Knights winner of the 2026 IOA American Specialty Man of the Year for his charitable works in the community. And the accolades continue to pour in this week. Braden Bowman named the AHL Player of the Month for April, putting up 14 points during an 8-game point streak. After being sent down by the Golden Knights, the 22-year-old finished the season, scoring 5 goals and assisting on 9 more with a +11 rating. During that stretch, he put up 4 consecutive multi-point performances, including the game-winning goal against Tucson, which clinched the playoff berth for Henderson. In 20 games this season with the Silver Knights, Bowman has 26 points, picking up at least 1 point in 15 of those 20. And in 54 games with the Golden Knights, Bowman, 8 goals, 26 points.
Up ahead, Night Monsters trying to work into the zone. A brilliant move by Huo, and he scores!
And over the weekend, the Tahoe Night Monsters close out their regular season feeling good about their game, beating Rapid City 6-4. The team in teal finished 4th in the division, grabbing the final spot in the Kelly Cup playoffs. Their reward, they now get the top team in all of the ECHL, the Kansas City Mavericks. That series starts this weekend in KC. The Night Monsters had just 1 win in 4 games against the Mavs this past season. When we return, it's time to clear the ice. Keep it here.
Room for Manson. Wrist shot blocked again in front. Score! Waugh wins it!
The former VGK Stanley Cup champ Nick Waugh helping the Colorado Avalanche to a 2-0 series lead with his 11th career Stanley Cup playoff goal, 4th game winner, and the 2nd playoff OT winner of his career. Staying in the Mile High City, Colorado netminder Scott Wedgwood stops Quentin Byfield on the penalty shot. The Avalanche faithful lost their mind, so much so they break the pane of glass behind the Kings bench. Interim head coach DJ Smith showered with shards of glass. There's clearing the ice, and then there's clearing the glass. We'll see you next week.